Hello, I'm Katie. Today we're going to be doing some cooking. We're going to be making some animal biscuits. Now, I love cooking because it can incorporate so many different areas and everybody can join in. So I work in fish class, so I'm going to be basing my video on fish, which means it's going to have a very sensory aspect. We're going to be doing a lot of choice making and we're going to be using our independent skills. So if your child is at a different level, obviously you can adapt it to them. Right, so first of all, we're going to wash our hands. So that's really important. Even if you think, oh, there's no point, he's just going to put his hands back in his mouth or she's just going to pick her nose again. Actually, the washing the hands in warm water, giving them a really good massage as you're washing them, and helps stimulate the hands and helps the brain to go, actually, I need to use my hands now. So that's really important. So I've just washed mine, so they are already clean. We're going to be using some flour, some butter, some sugar, and it says chocolate drops on the ingredients on the recipe rather, but I don't have any, so we're going to be using some sultanas. If you've got chocolate drops, that would be great. Or I'm also going to use some spice because I think that's a really lovely choice to be making. Oh. Well, I only have ginger, but you can use, if you've got a choice of two, that'd be really good. Okay, so first of all, it says preheat the oven. That's a good idea. Let's do that. And then we need to grease a baking tray. So first of all, we're going to use some baking paper. So you could rip a little piece of baking paper off. You hear that? Use the butter. We're going to wipe it in the butter and then grease the tray. So you could be doing that, but actually this paper sounds really good. I don't know if you can hear that. So we're going to use the baking paper and see if your child can track the sound. So we're going to start on one side, scrunch up the paper. Can they look at that? Will they follow it as you move the paper? So you move the paper from one side to the other, scrunching it all the time. Will they follow the sound? Excellent. You could give them a piece of paper for them to hold, for them to scrunch. How does it feel? Can they tell you, maybe they've got a talker, they can tell you it feels smooth or it feels bumpy. Maybe they can tell you whether or not they like the sound. When we finish with that, I'm just going to take that in the bin because I've already greased my baking tray. Right, it then says we need to beat the butter and sugar until fluffy. So actually, it doesn't matter if the butter goes in first or the sugar. So this is where our first choice comes in. So we're going to put a little bit of butter in a pot. Oh, don't drop it first. I've got a bit of butter in there. Oh, smashed it all around. Here we go, into the butter. And I'm going to pour some sugar into the other pot. Right, then I'm going to show the child, there are two options. So we've got butter or sugar. So I'm going to ask them to choose which one we're going to use first. Would you like to use the butter or the sugar? Now either your child will reach out to the one that they would like, maybe they'll use their eyes to look at the one that they would like, maybe they can hear the one they want. So the butter doesn't really make a noise, but maybe you could plop it in. Does that make a noise? No. Okay. But they can choose the one. When they've made that choice, you need to make sure that you tell them you know that they've made it. So, excellent, you've chosen the sugar. Sugar. I'm then going to pour the sugar onto their tray. So my child would be in their chair, but they'd have the tray on their lap, or they would have maybe they'd be at a table. I'm going to pour it from as high as I can because that sounds, can you hear that? Really fun. If they want to taste the sugar, that's okay, as long as obviously they are able to. They can play with the sugar, they can feel the sugar. And while they're doing that, I'm just going to quickly weigh out my sugar and put it in the bowl. Here we go. And it goes. So they've still got something to do, something to play with whilst I'm measuring out the ingredients. I can't actually remember how I use mascots. Let's pop it that right. Right, so the next ingredient is the butter. So I'm going to clear the sugar away. Sugar has finished. There we go. Clear away the sugar. Well, you can't actually see that, can you? So we're going to use the butter. So I'm going to get the butter back. And now using the butter. I'm going to plop that onto the tray. Why not? Because mine's not quite runny enough. There we go. And then they can feel the butter. Can they smell it? This one does smell quite strong actually. And then we're going to put the butter, while they're playing with the butter and experiencing that, I'm going to put some butter into my bowl. Just realised I didn't actually measure the butter properly. Okay, brilliant. Right, so now they've made choices. They've chosen the sugar first, or butter. I'll chose butter. So now they've heard the scrunchy paper. They've tracked that. They've made the choice. So now we're going to do some really hard work. They're going to be gripping the spoon. So either your child might you might just want them to grip it and not let go. You might want them to grip it and move it around in the bowl, so you're mixing up the flour, the sugar and butter. You might want your child to hold the spoon with one hand and hold the bowl with the other hand and give it a big mix. So whatever level your child is at, that's what we're going to be encouraging. Maybe your child is actually taking a spoon to their mouth, in which case, as long as you've got tasty ingredients, we could load the spoon for them, let's find the spoon, with some of our mixture. Pass the spoon to the child and see if they can get it to their mouth. Obviously we want that to be a pleasurable experience, so you wouldn't want them to have a mouthful of flour or a mouthful of butter, because actually if it's taken them a really long time and a lot of effort to get it from here to here without tipping it, you want them to be rewarded. You don't want them to go, well, what was the point? So I'm going to cream the butter and sugar. Look at that. I realise this is not very exciting watching me. Remember, your child has still got their butter that they're playing with, they're tasting, they're feeling. There we go. That's lovely. Scales back to 0. Brilliant. So now we've done some choosing, we've done some holding and some stirring. So the next thing is mixing the flour and the chocolate. So let's get rid of the sugar butter. So obviously we don't have, and we do have the flour. Right, so we're going to use the flour next. Flour is great fun because you can draw in the flour. So we're going to do some mark making. So we're going to put a little bit of flour on their tray. I'm going to have to move the camera in a second. So put some flour, sprinkle it in. I'm going to lift it up high so they can watch it falling. Always fun. Right, I'm going to pour the flour in here. Sorry, this isn't very exciting, is it? Could have measured the ingredients first, I suppose, but I didn't. Right, so back to your child. On their tray, they've got their flour. I'll just move this. Oh, go on. Jar bottoms there, that's nice. There we go. So, can they put their fingers in it? Can they make marks? There we go. Right, so that's the flour. So they're playing with the flour, they're making marks in the flour, feeding the flour. Maybe they can watch the flour falling again. whilst they're doing that, you need to quickly stir in your flour to your butter and sugar. It says by hand until you've made a dough, and I think this is going to be quite, it might be quite dry. Right, at this point you can also give them the choice of which spices they'd like to add. So if you've maybe got mixed spices, maybe you've got cinnamon or some ginger, you can give them the choice of which one they would like to add, so they can have a good smell. Yeah, it's far too dry. So I've actually got ginger, so it smells really nice, so I'm just going to pour a little bit of that on as well, just to give an extra dimension. There we go, I'm going to put a little bit in my biscuit. Right, as this is so dry, I actually think I might add some milk, which it doesn't say on your ingredients or your recipe, but I do think that'd be quite a useful thing to add. It's also great fun to splash a child with. I'm going to add some milk. I'll open it first. Okay. Put a little bit of milk in. Also going to put some on my child's hand. And talk about it being cold and it's wet. And I've now poured that onto the tray as well. And see what happens when I add that to the flour and the ginger that I've got down there. So it's making a paste now. So that feels completely different. That's a really nice texture actually. So the flour and the ginger and the milk added together has made a really nice paste. So that's something that your child can be exploring. Actually, I just need to wash that off while I do the next part. Sorry, it's not very exciting, is it? Back in a second. There we go. Right, so now we've got all our ingredients in here. It should be a nice dough. Still very crumbly, but and then you're going to add your chocolate drops or your raisins or sultanas or whatever else you've chosen to add. Again, you can give your child the choice. You could put some in a bowl, you could give them a chocolate in a bowl, you could put some raisins in a bowl. They can choose the two. Again, if you're asking to make a choice, make sure you acknowledge that they've made the choice and what that choice was. So I'm just going to put some raisins or some sultanas in because that's what I've got. So again, some go on a tray for them to explore and for them to taste if they want to, if they're able to. So I think cooking is really beneficial to everyone, even those that actually can't eat the end product, because there's so much learning involved to start with. So again, now that it's a bit thicker, I want my child to hold the spoon again. So they're going to grip the spoon. Again, if the target is to hold the spoon, we want them to hold it. If it's to move the spoon around and use it in a useful way, then that'd be great with good stirring. If they're able to, maybe they can hold the bowl and move the spoon. There we go. Right, I have my cookie dough. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to roll it out into bear shapes, so we're going to just make it into circles with a circle and two ears. Okay, hopefully you found this video interesting and you're not too bored after almost 15 minutes. Enjoy! Bye!